1 o'clock, and I see a fair amount of you in here. So we're going to get going. I'm going to let head coach Tony Annan introduce himself really quick to you guys, and then we're going to open up the floor for questions. Please use the raise your hand function, and we will get to you as time allows. Coach, introduce yourself really quick.
Good afternoon, everybody. Firstly, let me apologize for my red face and my attire. I don't have my Gamecocks gear on because I just stepped off the field and ran into my office, so apologies for that. Tony Annan, obviously the new head coach of the Gamecocks and University of South Carolina. Excited to speak to you all and share whatever you would like to know.
All right, we're going to open up with Mike.
Hey, Tony, welcome. Michael Espy from ABC Columbia Sports. Just wondering why South Carolina, why make the move now?
Hey, Mike, how are you? Pleased to meet you. It was time for this in my career. I felt like a new challenge. I felt like I needed to challenge myself. I've always continued to encourage people around me to do that, and the opportunity presented itself. And it's a great challenge for me. It's a great move for my family. And I've got a young family, which is very, very important to me, who I fight for. So I wanted to put them in the best environment possible. And sometimes professional sports doesn't offer that. So the stars aligned, as I said. There wasn't many programs that I would have considered making the move. But South Carolina really appealed to me. And the challenge before me is really excited me, and it's really invigorated me to be hungry and for success again. So that's the top and bottom.
Cool, thank you.
Next up, we'll go to Mitch Brown.
Hey, Coach, Mitch Brown, Watch Fox here in Columbia. Welcome to Columbia. Obviously, you said you felt like this was, the right time to make a new challenge in your career. What was it about the university and the situation, obviously becoming only the second head coach in program history, that really appealed to you?
I think I said this yesterday to somebody, it's an honor and a privilege to follow Mark in the door. Mark's been a very big influence in my career over the years. I've known him a long time. It was nice to be endorsed by him and get the congratulatory call from him. But really, for the first day I stepped foot on the campus at Carolina, I felt an energy, and I felt the people and the support at the university was something that I hadn't felt for a very long time in all aspects of football, which I've been in. That was probably part one, and part two is the potential for the program to be great, the potential to win, the opportunity to build something on top of the tradition that's already been put there by Coach Berson, the tradition that I would like to continue, but obviously take in a new direction. And then obviously, again, just the reinvigoration part of it for me and making me hungry. And I think you just look for challenges in your career rather than sitting comfortable in a place where you've been successful. I think it's important that you continue to challenge yourself and grow and taste everything in life. So those were the main reasons, and those were the feeling I got from being on campus with the people there was one of the main things for me.
Next up, Colin Taylor.
Tony, Colin Taylor from Gamecock Central. Welcome to Columbia. I'm just curious, what kind of style of play would you like to bring to South Carolina, and kind of what can fans expect from how the way your teams are going to be able to play?
If you look at the coaches I've worked under and worked with in the professional game, you'll probably see a lot of similarities to that. Entertaining football, exciting brand of football that's not defensive. I don't try not to lose games. I try to win games. So I commit a lot of people forward. There's a lot of rotations in my game model, movement of the players. So hopefully it's entertaining. Hopefully it's good soccer to watch for the fans, and hopefully we win.
Joe.
Good afternoon, Coach. Nice to meet you. Joe Gorcho, WIS-TV in Columbia. When it comes to developing the talent currently on the roster, what plans are you putting in place to not only get to know the players, assess their skill level, then put a development plan in place, something you've done at a high level throughout your career?
Nice to meet you, Joe. It's a great question. Great question. Obviously, I'm analysing the team as we speak. I'm watching video every day of the games that they played, trying to get a feel for each individual and what they bring to the team. I've been pleasantly surprised with some of them. Obviously, some need some work, but that's what my job is to develop players and develop humans. I don't just develop soccer players, I hopefully develop great men too. So not only the development taking place in training, in the training environment, on the pitch, but also off the pitch. I believe in that. If you've got good men and you produce good men, you'll obviously have good players as well. So there's a long way to go, a lot of work to do. But I fully intend to give everything I've picked up and learned and the process that I've used over the last 20 years to continue my work and hopefully produce some outstanding players, but also outstanding humans.
John Whittle.
Hey, Tony, welcome to Columbia. Wanted to ask you what, in your previous role, what is kind of similar to what you're doing now, and what are some of the main differences and some of the biggest challenges that you have going from where you were at Atlanta United here into the college game?
It's a great question, John. Nice to meet you. Similarities, it's pretty easy. I work with a group of young men between the ages of 18 to 23, 24 now. So it's pretty similar age group. And I'm doing the same thing here. I mean, I'm developing young players to be professional players here, but I'm also developing them off the field to be good young men as well. And in the professional game, it's also a little bit more challenging because they're getting paid, they're young guys, and some of them have got huge egos and think they're better than they are. So there's a lot of management of expectations as well. But again, I think it's very relatable to what I'll be doing at the university. Only those guys don't get paid and they're not on big money and having to deal with their agents and their overbearing parents sometimes. Challenges I see, obviously, you know, the style of soccer in college soccer, the style of play is slightly different to what I'm used to, which I'm going to have to adapt my tactics to as well. Rules, lots and lots of rules. Substitution rules are different, so I've got to obviously get my head around that. But at the end of the day, soccer, and development is the way you develop is the way you develop. And I think there's more synergy than there is adversity to this job. So I'm not closing my eyes and thinking it's going to be all success and sweet and everything else, but I'm confident that I'll adapt and thrive in a college environment.
Let's go to Michael.
Hey, Tony. Michael Lanana with the State Newspaper. Welcome to Columbia. I got two questions for you. The first one, the university here just announced a partnership with the MLS. And, you know, it seems like there's some buzz growing around soccer, you know, in the Carolinas. And I'm just kind of curious, with your experience around the MLS too, how much is that, I guess, maybe part of your recruiting pitch to guys like, hey, this could be a pathway to the next level, and how much do you want to, I guess, have that be a part of this program?
Good question. Yeah, I think it's a good thing for the university. It's a good thing for the soccer program to be linked that closely to the MLS. Obviously, it's just another tool in the toolbox of recruitment, because I think having that connection to MLS and having those staff members on campus regularly, players being involved and having some interest in the soccer program. Obviously, I come from the MLS, which there's some interest there. I got a lot of texts from people in the industry congratulating me and wishing me luck. So I think the connection to the MLS is huge for the program, and it's also something we can build on and use, like I said, as a recruitment tool for young players to excite them about coming to Carolina.
And then just the second question for you, just on a personal level, what has it been like just culturally, you know, coming from England, you know, being in the Southeast and kind of watching the game of soccer over these, you know, last years and seeing the way it grew? I mean, what has that experience been like for you, and how do you hope to see, I guess, soccer continue to evolve?
Well, I'll start by saying I'm American. I've been here nearly 20. I've actually been here 26 years. So I've lived here longer than I lived in the UK. So I left the UK a long time ago. Yeah, I mean, the development of the game and the growth of the game has been enormous, especially here in Atlanta. Obviously, with what Atlanta United did and being part of that and being in the ground floor and watching that grow and explode, was very, very proud of what we did here. It was a huge challenge, and it was a great 6 years of really grinding to get this thing where it's at. But like I said, there's always time to say goodbye to things and move on. And if I feel like I've done my job, I think I've done my job. So, but I'm very proud of what this city's done, but I'm also proud of the whole of the Southeast, because I think the Southeast is now a hotbed of soccer where it never used to be in 97, 98, when I first started really getting into coaching deeply. But there's so many good people in the game, in college, in club, in professional sport, in the professional side of the game. There's so many good people, so many organized people that have a passion for the game. It's inevitable that it would grow like it has.
Go to Cam Adams.
Hey, Coach, this is Cam Adams from the Daily Gamecock student newspaper here on campus. Welcome to Columbia. What are your kind of early goals before the season gets started in August, and what are your ultimate goals for your career at South Carolina?
Hey, Cam, thanks for the welcome. Another great question. Short term, we've got to put this team back to winning ways. And I told the guys in the locker room last week when I was introduced to them, I'm not going to talk about championships. I'm not going to talk about conferences. I'm talking about being a great team. A great team to watch, a great team to play for, and a very, very difficult team to play against. And that's what my short-term goal is for this. There's obviously a lot of players on the roster that I don't know, that I never recruited. But everybody should be given a chance to prove what they can do within a new system and a new environment. So that's short term, just to get this thing back moving in the right direction and get people excited about the program again, including the players and the staff. And then long term, obviously, talk about my career. It's not really about me. It's about the players. It's about the school first. And obviously, I want to deliver championships to the school, and I want to deliver conference championships and everything else. But that's a ways away. I think the most important piece right now is to get the team identity and the team culture and the training environment in the best place we can get it for the first season.
Let's go back to Mitch.
Coach, obviously, you said there's some similarities and also some differences when it comes to the developmental regimen that you're used to, and also the college game and landscape. When it comes to recruiting and going out there and finding this talent to develop, how do you plan to approach that when it comes to now having to recruit and, keep track of in soccer, international pool, as well as right here in the U.S.?
Well, I mean, you'd be surprised to know that I actually recruit here in Atlanta. I recruit from all over the country. We have a homestay program here where we bring kids in to live. So recruitment's not new to me. And I've always been a good recruiter as far as I tell the truth, I'm honest. There's no gray areas with me. So that's my approach to recruitment. Obviously, my network across the States to start with. If every MLS academy, I've got access to every USL academy. Obviously, I've been in youth development for 25 years. You tend to meet pretty much everybody there is to meet who you need to know. So I feel good about domestically being able to recruit. Overseas, I played with so many guys that are all over the world. I've got guys in Australia. I've got guys in South America. I've got a ton of guys in Europe. And my very good friend runs a recruiting company in Europe as well, one of the biggest. And basically, he's promised me that he would help me build this team as best he can. So I don't think from a recruitment standpoint, I'm any worse off than anybody else. In fact, I feel like I'm in a better position with my network, especially in the States. But I also want as many South Carolina players in the team as I can get, because I believe in that, just like we did in Atlanta. The heartbeat of your team is guys who understand where you're from. So South Carolina is, for me, I need to really get in the Carolinas and find the players as well. So that's my strategy. And obviously the next part of that is the profiling of the player to suit your style of play. I don't just go looking for the best player on the pitch. You need a player who can play your way, who can do the work you want them to do effectively. So there's also a strategy behind who you bring in, not just finding the best player on the pitch, but the guy who will do what you want them to do to show the style of play and team identity that you need. So we can go deeper and deeper, but we'll be here all day.
Let's go back to Colin Taylor.
Tony obviously come from Atlanta United, which has had a lot of success in the MLS over the past couple of years. I'm curious, what have you learned being in a club like that in terms of just culture building and training regimen and things like that you're able to bring to Columbia and to South Carolina?
It's a great question. I was here 5th employee of Atlanta United, so I was here from the very start. I watched them build a culture here. I watched them bring in the best possible coach they could have in first year, and I took everything I could from him. He was tactically insane, fantastic, and he was such a humble guy and such a lovely man. I took a lot from that as well. Like, even though he was this superstar of a coach and tactically unbelievable, he was such a humble guy, and the culture was so good under him. So things like including everyone, you know, from the janitor to the assistant coach is part of who I am and what I am. There's not a day goes by that I don't say hello to everybody I can. I never ignore anybody, no matter how big or how small their status is. But I intend to change the culture of the dressing room in Carolina. And that's through discipline, through hard work and honesty, and being authentic. And I think those are the main things to build a culture upon. But the players are going to be held accountable. And if some will survive and some won't, that's just inevitable. But the culture will change based on the conversation I had the other day with the players. It needs to change. It's one of the first things I'm going to try and implement and start to build as soon as I get there.
Let's go back to Joe.
Coach, you mentioned early on that you had a previous relationship with Mark Berson. I'm just curious, what has that been like over the years? And if you could just describe a little bit of how you two guys met and what that relationship has meant over time.
I mean, years ago, we met through US Soccer when he was an instructor. And then obviously we hit it off. We have a good relationship. We've got tons of obviously people in the same circle. So we met up a lot. He recruited from me quite a while back, but that kind of dried up a little bit. There's one guy here at Carolina that's from Atlanta United right now, Matthews. But the recruitment from Georgia in general had slowed down. I think they'd gone off in different areas to recruit. So I hadn't really, in recent years, I hadn't had that much interaction with them. But whenever we were around each other, whenever on a course or at a showcase, there would always be obviously big hugs and, you know, a big respect for Mark and what he did and the longevity he had at the university and the tradition he set up. So I have nothing but respect for the guy. He called me right away as soon as I got the job, and it was a really nice conversation. So I'm happy with that relationship, and I hope it continues to be a healthy one, you know.
Back to John.
You touched on it just there, but from a recruiting standpoint, seems like about 10 years ago, South Carolina had a bunch of players on their roster from Georgia, and that was some of their better teams. How important is that state going to be for you, not only from your connections there, but also, you know, just the talent that's there and the fact that, you know, there's no major soccer in that state at the college level?
Yeah, it's a huge state for soccer. I mean, I've watched it grow, John. I've watched it develop and explode. Those guys 10 years ago were my guys. I sent them to South Carolina. I endorsed South Carolina. Taylor Ruthven, Peyton Erickson, Corey Lewis, Blake Budmeyer. Who else? I think there's 7 or 8 of them that came from my teams to play at South Carolina. And it's disappointing not to see more Georgia kids on that roster, but that will change. Obviously, my connections here and the respect I have in the state as far as a developer, I think not only that, but most MLS academies want their players to go to university that will turn around and hopefully produce them in a professional coming out of university that they can sign as a homegrown. So if you are a trusted guy and you are a respected guy, people will send you players. because they want their players to continue to develop. And that is what the relationship I had with South Carolina many years ago. Now, lately they've gone other places, which I intend to try and stop that pipeline, or redirect that pipeline, sorry.
Back to Mike.
Yeah, Tony, you kind of touched on it right there, but Clemson is the top seed in this year's tournament. Just wondering how tough that is for a first-year college coach coming in, having to face such a great arch rival and recruiting, and then obviously on the pitch too.
Yeah, I mean, I have a very close relationship with a lot of the guys at that other school, but they are now the other school, and they're now my rival. And I am a competitor, and I'm an intense competitor, and I don't intend them to sit on top of the hill for long. Now, obviously, first season's a challenge, right? They've got a very good team. They've got a very good coaching staff. But that's my job, and that's my challenge, is to equal them and pass them. And I don't know how long that will take, but it will happen eventually.